Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right. The government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this? It is March the 2nd, 2017, and my name is S.M. Gibson. You are listening to Anti-Media Radio. I am sitting directly next to the editor-in-chief of the antimedia.org himself. This is the last program we're going to be doing together for a while. Directly from San Diego, California, Mr. Nick Burnaby.
Yo, 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 let's do this tonight. God damn, there's a lot of news.
There is a lot going on in the world, and before we even get started into everything that's going on, the chaos, the craziness, the witch hunts, the realities of everything, let's bring on the man himself, Mr. Shannon Madden. Shannon, what's going on?
What's going on, gentlemen? How's the weather out in San Diego, California?
It's been actually pretty bad for the most part for here. But for back in Birmingham, it's been perfect.
Yeah, it's really nice here. It really is. Can't wait to have you back, though. But, Nick, you need to come out and visit sometime. I know you've been out here before. I missed you the last trip.
I will be sometime very soon. As far as the weather, most of the time it's been raining while he was here because we're finally breaking this drought. We're getting all this rain. It's
hey, that's a good thing.
You've been here for, what, a couple weeks? It's rained more while he's been here for the last couple weeks than it has rained in, like, the last 5 years altogether.
Why does it always rain on me via Travis? But that's my luck, isn't it? But anyways, let's go ahead and get into some of the actual news that's going on tonight. Alabama's own Jeff Sessions, the topic of conversation all day long. He is supposedly hooking up and talking to some Russian agents or whatever's going on. Look, everybody that listens to this program knows how I feel about Donald Trump, and they certainly know how I feel about Jeff Sessions. I don't think very much of them. But give me a break. So witch hunt. This is a joke. It's a joke. We've seen this over and over and over and over and over with it's Russia. It's Russia. Jeff Sessions is a lot of things. I promise you, he's not conversing with the Russians on overthrowing the government. There's a lot of criticism to go towards him, and I'll probably spearhead that campaign. But this is more propaganda. This is a joke. And I think we're seeing some sort of reverse overthrow of something. It's very bizarre. Shannon, you keep up with Alabama politics very astutely. What do you think about everything that's going on right now with Sessions?
Well, first off, he definitely should have came clean with Congress during his confirmation hearing when asked why he would decide to just like, I didn't know you were talking about those 2 times that I talked to the Russian ambassador. I just thought you were talking about, like, talking to Russia. So I don't know. And again, I don't know the content of those conversations. I really don't think this is one of those where there's smoke, there's fire kind of things. Because we both know that Jeff Sessions is very pro-American military, very pro-war, very, very pro-war.
Yeah,
and if anybody would be happy about us getting into a skirmish, a military skirmish with the Russians, it would definitely be Jeff Sessions. So that's why this whole thing's weird. And the other weird part about this is that the pressure that's coming at him right now is bipartisan. That's strange. If you think about it,
it's strange if you keep up with what's actually going on in the world. First off, Americans need to realize this is not Democrat versus Republican. We saw Rand Paul, who's a Republican, this morning drag a copy machine looking for some bill that he's not allowed to see as a senator, trying to get copies of it, which clearly that was a show. And then you have on the Democratic side of things, you have somebody like Tulsi Gabbard who is saying, hey, guess what? We've been funding terrorists this entire time. She was saying that under Obama, I've got this bill. Can we just stop funding the terrorists? Can we stop providing them with arms? Can we stop giving them money? Can we stop training them? Because we've clearly been doing this for 16 years.
A lot longer than 16 years. Come on now. Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, come on.
Understandably so, but we're talking in the relative now terms. Post 9/11. And
pre 9/11, which some people would argue caused 9/11. But what else?
Well, that's a whole different show. But we're not looking at Republican, Democrat. We need to start looking at what's right and wrong. And we need to get our heads out of our butts here and start realizing that this is a complete joke. Everything we're seeing is a joke. Do you really believe that the Washington Post is telling you the truth? Do you really believe that the New York Times is telling you the truth? I'll tell you today, you had, Senator McCaskill, whatever her name is. I've got that little respect for her. But New York Times, she came out tweeting, how I would never meet with a Russian. I would never, ever, 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 ever do this. Okay. And then you actually look back at her tweets, and she has tweets where she sent out, oh, I'm off to meet the Russian ambassador, guys. I'm off to do this. At least twice. And she says, I've never done it. I would never do it. And her own timeline gives her away from her own words. If anybody's read 1984, this is what we're living in. This is it. This is Orwell come true. And I know people hear that, oh, it's kind of redundant at this point, but that's where we're at.
So, are we at war with Russia? Are we not at war with Russia? No, are we trying to get along with them? Are we trying to, ram it up their ass? What's going on here?
We're not at war with Russia at all. What it is this is political divisiveness.
But everybody's talking to Russia, and it's a horrible thing. So, suddenly people that talk to Russia didn't talk to Russia, Jeff Sessions.
Well, what's his face from West Virginia today came out, Democrat, and said, who is not a Trump supporter at all, is not a Sessions supporter, and said, look, I've met with Russian ambassadors, and so is most of everybody else in Congress. People need to start living in reality here. Come down to earth. This is a win.
Yeah, but is getting rid of, look, I get where you're going with this. My point is that, okay, well, if Jeff Sessions happens to get swept by the wayside in the middle of all this fake news, and I can't feel too sad about that.
Well,
were you really amped up when he was announced as Attorney General? I know I was.
Listen, you know better than anybody, Shannon. I don't like that guy, and I've got personal issues that stem back years for my disdain for Jeff Sessions. And I'm not going to defend Jeff Sessions over the majority of the stuff that comes out of his mouth. But
if there's a bipartisan effort So, I mean, bipartisan effort to get rid of him.
The Russian stuff is a joke. This is.
I don't know. I think they need to look harder into it and get rid of Jeff Sessions in the process. That's my take.
But you do okay. Well, I agree with you and laugh at that and go, great, let's get rid of Sessions, which I'm not opposed to. With the hand that they're playing, you do realize when they get rid of Sessions, they're going to bring in their own person. It's just like when they got rid of Flynn, they brought in McMaster. They're going to bring in their own guy. They're going to.
And that's the part I don't get, because Sessions is their own guy.
That's why I was confused too, because as far as everything I can tell, Sessions is an establishment asshole.
He's not. He is an asshole, but I don't think he's an establishment asshole. And I think there's a big difference to be made here. I think, and you know this being from Alabama, Shannon, and this is something that I think most of the listeners outside the South don't understand. When you hear Jeff Sessions talk about the war on drugs, and you hear him talking about how we're going to crack down on this, we're going to crack down on this, we're going to crack down on immigrants, that's people from the South. And I genuinely know people that know him that believe that very sincerely. Like, that's how people from the South are. I do believe he believed what he's saying, and he does in his head think that's the right thing to do. I don't necessarily think he's being controlled by when he says that stuff. He thinks that. He believes that. You know as well as I do, Shannon, there's many people in the South that are like that. And we're talking about something grander here. I think it's an easier battle to go against one man who's stubborn in his ways, and is very ignorant in his beliefs, and is very judgmental in his beliefs. I think that's an easier battle to go against this one guy that thinks his crazy stuff, that is the way he is, than going against this machine, which is what they want to do by getting rid of him. Do you not agree with that?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I don't know. It's really strange that this is all coming out right on the heels of, a very viral soundbite of him being very vocal against the states that have legalized marijuana. We talked about this in the last episode.
That's great, right?
But do y'all really believe that the powers that be are so for pro-marijuana legalization?
No, and again, I don't want to start people down that rabbit hole. The timing is just really strange, I think personally, it's totally coincidental.
This is about because Sessions said he was not going to step down in a probe against Trump towards Russia. Now today he said he has done it. It's over. He's recused himself as of today. They want Trump. He's the king on the chessboard, okay? They wanted Flynn gone because he was obviously a bishop guarding the king very well. He had to go. I'm curious to see how they deal with Sessions.
Maybe this is all just a big coincidence, right? Maybe this is just
nothing in politics is coincidence.
I like to think it's karma myself.
Maybe he's just getting here's the thing. Nobody thinks Sessions is going to resign. Nobody thinks that.
I think a lot of
people are saying, yeah, he should resign, but no one thinks he's actually going to resign. But him recusing himself off of this case, that was pretty logical, dude. That's pretty much, run-of-the-mill type of stuff.
I think it was fair enough. I don't have a problem with him doing that, to be honest with you. I think it was kind of, in the term of law, respectable that he did that. But at the same time, I don't think we're going to see an outcome that is beneficial for America. This is what people need to remember. Okay, if everybody gets their wish tomorrow and Donald Trump's gone, what's he going to be replaced with? What's he going to be replaced with? You think everything's going to be solved? We're going to go back to these glory days of Barack Obama where we get to bomb people indiscriminately and nobody questioned it?
I think we will actually. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is a problem that is much bigger than one person. And people refuse to accept that because they're too stupid to accept this problem is institutionalized. And this isn't a institutional problem with race or with if men or women, whatever. This is not that kind of division. This is the haves and the have-nots. Okay? This is the world we live in. And they will screw over anybody they can to get some more, whoever it may be. This is the world we've lived in for years. And yet, for whatever reason, whatever it may be, Donald Trump is standing in the path of that. Now, are they taking down Flynn? Are they taking down Sessions to send a message to Trump? Very possibly so. To say, look, we're in charge here. You can't do anything without us. We can do what we want when we want, and we'll take your people out. However, we have to do it.
They're chipping away at Mike Pence right now. Story up on the very top of the antimedia.org page. About his during his tenure as governor, his email account was hacked. So yeah, I mean it's coming from all sides right now.
You're right.
And they want Trump. They want Trump. There's no two ways around about it.
I think they do definitely want Trump, no question. But I think Pence personally, like as much as I don't like Jeff Sessions at all, I can't stress that enough. I think Pence is an inside guy. I think Pence is an establishment. Like, this is the guy that was given to Trump to smooth things over with the party.
Pence is now in hot water, dude, right? Kind of.
Not really, because
he was doing the same thing Hillary Clinton was doing. He was using a personal email address to do government business.
An AOL.com address. Can you believe who in 2016 has an AOL.com email address?
But here's the thing. Okay, factually, you're both right. That's what's being reported today. Can the Democratic Party in any way, shape, or form jump down his throat on this? They can't. They can't.
It'd be hard because they just got done defending Hillary Clinton for how many months and months and months.
They cannot touch Mike Pence over this topic, because if they do, they're automatically admitting that Hillary had done something wrong.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they're prepared to do.
And if you look in the article that I put together just briefly, and I didn't really add much to this, but we're just reporting on it. One thing I did mention, though, is that, there are ethical issues here with people using private emails, man. This is how government officials hide their emails from FOIA requests. This is, FOIA requests, you can publicly request information, access to certain communications, certain files that the government uses. And, this is how you get access to government emails and that kind of shit. They were, part of the reason why Pence was using a private email was so that he could hide something that he was doing.
Correct. And I want to throw this out there just for people that didn't hear the news today. Now, if you want a FOIA request, you cannot do it via email anymore. It has to be either snail mail or has to be via fax.
So backwards.
Yeah, so they have stopped FOIA requests via email in the past day or two. They announced that. And I'm going to go ahead and put this up we're going to get this up here tonight, actually, on the My News side of the antimedia.org. It is an interview with John McAfee. If you want to talk about privacy, I promise you, all Americans need to go see this interview. You don't have it. It doesn't exist in any way, shape, or form. Things are way, way, way more far gone than you believe. And you're living in a bubble if you think differently. And I'm going to get Nick. He's sitting next to me with the computer. I'm going to get him to go ahead and pull up that McAfee interview if he can. and we're going to stick it on the right-hand side of the webpage. And I highly, highly encourage everybody to watch this interview. It's fascinating. Scary stuff. And you, Shannon, you've actually spoken to John McAfee before. Do you think he was steering people wrong when you spoke to him?
Is he there?
We got you, Shannon? What?
Shannon.
Sorry about that, fellas. I accidentally hit the mute button. The interview with John McAfee was probably one of the most interesting interviews I've ever had, or interesting conversations I've ever had with any human being. Super, super, super great guy. Don't believe the hype.
Well, yeah, and this is, people need to remember what he's famous for. He's initially famous, despite all the other crap, for tech security. And this is what this interview is about. And your privacy, you don't have it, doesn't exist. It's and me and Nick were talking about this earlier today, as far as the Trump leaks and all this stuff. Oh, there's a leak in the White House. There's a leak in this. There's a leak in that. More than likely, it's probably just the NSA or the CIA tapping everything he does and putting it out there just to go against him.
Yeah, dude, and think about how much you can stir shit up if you're just leaking info. And then, like if you look at the Washington Post story about Pence, it was supposedly an anonymous Trump insider, right?
That was Sessions.
Right?
Sessions.
On Sessions,
yeah.
Right? About him meeting with the Russian ambassador. It was an anonymous Trump administration official, right? Supposedly. Now, what better way, if you really want to tear apart the inside of the Trump organization, like what better way to leak something, blame it on someone within his organization, even though it may not have actually been someone within there, and watch them eat each other alive. Let them try to figure out who the hell is leaking this information, even if it's not actually someone in there, and it's just the NSA using their tools to like jailbreak all this stuff. Like, they're playing the ultimate mind games right now with the Trump administration.
I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what this is about, is to have it eat itself alive internally.
And here's the thing, dude. Like, these deep state guys, they think they got it all figured out. They got nothing figured out either. Trump is running his administration as if it's some reality TV show, right? And then you got the
Omarosa is literally there
and
every day in the White House.
You got the deep state who've been going around the world thinking that they could engineer governments around the world and thinking they could win drug wars and they could topple governments and shit. They've basically failed at everything they've ever done. The CIA sucks. The CIA is not very good at what it does. It's sloppy. It's not calculating. It's just greedy. That's all it is. And so what we're watching right now is just a reality TV.
I think you're wrong about that.
Reality TV clashes with the deep state, and we're just seeing it play out in all of its hilarity. It's just.
I think you're wrong about that. I'm going to go ahead and step up to the plate on this, Nick. I think the CIA has instigated wars across the world.
And they never won any of them.
Wait. I think the CIA took out Gaddafi 100%. I think the CIA may go far as back as Bush Sr. and Kennedy. And you want to sit here and give grief to the CIA? Well, guess what? What's ever come back on them? You say they're not successful. You say they're not clever. You say they're not smart. These people are brilliant. And this is the thing. Because we disagree with somebody and because we hate what they're doing, we just automatically go, well, they're dumb. They haven't succeeded. I think the CIA succeeded. Are you kidding me? Do you see protests in the street over anything the CIA's done? I haven't. I see them putting on these little pink hats.
Not recently.
And doing these stupid parades around because Donald Trump said something on Access Hollywood behind the scenes 10 years ago.
If you guys think back to Gary Webb, and when Gary Webb, the journalist from, where is he from? Santa Cruz? San Jose. There you go. Gary Webb from San Jose, awesome journalist back in the 80s, that busted open how the CIA was helping import cocaine, and then was also partially to blame for the crack epidemic, especially in LA. And then there was actually protests against the CIA. But that was back in the 80s, man. That was back in the 80s. We need some new Gary Webbs right? You remember Gary Webb? You know who that is?
I know exactly who you're talking about. And I think we kind of have that with the Green Wall. But look, the new boogeyman.
Yeah, Snowden is like the
right. But Snowden is that. But because we have now decided to pin all of our troubles and all of our angst on Russia. That's where they kind of pin the tail on the donkey, isn't it? That's where they're throwing their dart. It's at Russia. Anything, it used to be with Bush, are you for the terrorists or are you for us? But now it's, are you with Russia or are you with us? And the difference between those two things is, well, we can definitely get into the schematics and arguments about the terrorism and what had happened and whatever. The whole world saw two towers collapse on themselves very fastly, by the way. I want to throw that out there. But they saw that. Everybody had an emotional reaction to that. It was pinned on a certain faction of Muslims, which was headed by Osama bin Laden, officially. With this, we've seen nothing with Russia. We've seen nothing. This is all just kind of speculative, make-believe, if you want to call it. We're reporting it. We're saying it. Oh, it's Russia. They've done so much. What have they done? What have they done? What evidence? What evidence is there? If there's any congressperson, if there's anybody out there, anybody, anywhere that has evidence of what, and I'm not defending Russia at all. Maybe they've done a lot and I'm ignorant. But I'd like to see the actual evidence, because all we've seen so far is just the Washington Post. Ooh, Hillary collapsed because Russia poisoned her. Give me a break. Give me, come on now. You really, people believe this. People are stupid. This is the problem with easily swayed. And they're easily swayed, and it's not dumb people that are easily swayed. Here's the really scary part. It's the pseudo-intellectualism. It's the people that were convinced Hillary Clinton was going to win. They were so smart. They knew exactly what was going to happen. We're going to laugh and giggle because we don't live in reality. And your pseudo-intellectualism is ignorant, is the most ignorant person on this planet. You know nothing. You know zero. And now you're getting pulled into this Russia conversation? Give me a break. Shannon.
Hey, don't bring me into this. You're on a roll.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we were talking about this just before the show. How many people really buy this Russia stuff?
A lot. A lot of people do.
How many, though, do you think?
A lot.
The majority of people in this country?
I don't think
do you think the majority of people in this country don't even know what the hell is going on?
I think a majority of the people in this country are apathetic to the mere mention of the word Russia.
I have
people give a shit. In fact,
listen, I have two terms of beliefs on this. And part of the reason that I told everybody that Hillary Clinton on this radio program week after week after week after week, and Shannon bet me money week after week after week that I was wrong. Still waiting on that money.
You should have took that bet.
Still waiting on that money, Shannon.
You should have took that bet.
But anyway, I said Hillary Clinton was never, ever, ever going to become president. And the same thing is with this Russia crap. But part of the reason that I said that is, if you look in the social media and you look at the comment sections, that is a representation of the public. And there were no positive comments for her anywhere to be found for her at all. And Nick made the point tonight, which is correct. You don't see anybody jumping in the comment section going, well, Russia did it. And I do agree with that. So maybe the public is aware that this is a witch hunt, that Russia is not behind any of this. There is no evidence for any of this. But I want to bring this up, and this is important for how we've especially spoken about this, Shannon. I've told you over and over and over, I think you can gauge this country on professional wrestling. I genuinely do believe that as a fact.
I would have said you're crazy, a couple of years ago, but we do have a WWE Hall of Famer as president, and Linda McMahon is on the sitting at the big table.
It doesn't matter. Everybody can laugh at me, and everybody can think I'm wrong. I'm still right. They're just all wrong. I'm not going to back off.
When has that ever changed?
Right. I didn't back off for a year, Shannon, did I? I was literally the only person telling you what was going to happen in the election, and I don't back off when I know I'm right. The country is definitely, you can gauge it by professional wrestling. And the only reason I mention this is because there was a segment where Russia hacking was mentioned, and the crowd responded to it. And it's a live theater, whatever it is. So that makes me kind of believe that there are people out there that are buying into this. You get the crowd to respond to it, but you don't see it in the
I'll tell you where I see it, man. It's like there's two rabid parties right now that are really on this Russia train, and they're on like polar opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So you got basically the hardcore, diehard, true believers of Hillary Clinton, which make up a very small.
There's like 5 of them.
They make up a very small percentage.
I would say gotten bigger since he won.
Of the general population, I would say maybe 10% of people are like these true believer Democrats that were like Hillary Clinton was going to be awesome and amazing, and Trump messed it all up, and blah, blah, blah. And like they truly believe that Russia is responsible for this.
But look at the Democratic Party, by the way. Look at what they just did last weekend. Their parties in
They're not interested in fixing it.
Tom Perez, are you kidding me?
They're denying reality like everybody else is right now. Everyone's denying reality right now. And now here's the other party. The other party that's truly involved in this Russia thing is actually the pro-Russian Americans. Dude, there's a bunch of them. You guys wouldn't believe when we post something that makes that makes it seem like Putin is doing something better than the United States is. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that want to read those kind of stories.
That's been for years, actually.
Dude, Putin is unbelievably popular in the United States. I don't think anybody really realizes this, and they intentionally don't put these poll numbers out because they would find it embarrassing if they did. There is a huge chunk of the American demographics that are sympathetic to Vladimir Putin and to Russia. There's a huge chunk, dude. There's no denying that. And I think that percentage may actually be larger than the true believer Hillary Clinton demographic.
Oh, with Hillary, yeah.
Like there is a lot of people that are conservatives that think Putin is like some kind of hero. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Putin is been much more calculating, much more efficient, and much smarter with his policies than the United States has over the past 10 years. But at the same time, we have to also acknowledge Putin is a damn war criminal. Putin has done terrible, terrible things. You can't say, oh, just because Obama did bad things or just because the U.S. did bad things, Putin isn't bad. It's like, no, it's possible that both of these parties are bad. Putin is not a good guy, and the United States foreign policy obviously is not accomplishing good things. It's accomplishing bad things. It's accomplishing creating more terrorism, more death, more destruction. Putin, while he may be acting more defensively and like trying to defend his own interests, truly, it's still terrible what they've done. They've blown up and killed a bunch of innocent civilians. There's no denying that. Of course, I'm not saying the U.S. doesn't do it. The U.S. does it more.
Here's the thing. And Shannon, you've heard me say this over and over and over on this show. There's no right. It's just these sides. Okay. And people believe, well, I believe in Vladimir Putin. You're all Russian, or you're all Democrat, or you're all Republican, or you're all South, or you're all whatever. That's all stupid. It's all ridiculous. Because guess what? There's somewhere in the middle where all those people are wrong. And you have to get to the center of what you believe as a human being. And you have to get to the center of right and genuine right and wrong. Not because you're persuaded by the colors of a flag or a great, great chord structure of a national anthem. We're talking about right and wrong here. And people want to get pulled into these arguments. And you're on whose team, you're on what team, you're on this, and you're either all for it or you're all against it. And that's how we've done Jeff Sessions today. That's how we've done Trump this entire time. You're either Russia's doing this. That's insane. That's insane. But you know what? We're run by, the government's insane. We're run by insane people for insane objectives. We have literally seen a Nobel Peace Prize winner bomb 8 countries, 26,000 bombs in 2016 alone.
1 year. How many was it? An hour? Like one bomb every 20 minutes or something like that? I mean, it's grotesque, really.
But he's the liberal savior. Wake up and realize this is not a team game. This is human beings trying to survive and trying to do the right thing. I am telling you right now, as me, what I would do, and I don't advocate hurting anybody on any level in any way, shape, or form. But be informed. Wake up. Realize you've been lied to over and over and over again. If you don't believe me, my email address is sm.gibson@theantimedia.org. Send me a picture right now of a plane in the Pentagon. I'd love to see it. I'm not saying there wasn't one. I'm saying you can show it to me right now. I haven't seen it. 16 years later, haven't seen it.
Your inbox is filling up right now.
Right now, it's full.
You know, that's the thing too that we gotta understand, man, is that, you know, this is not new. This stuff has been going on since the 50s, at least, where we can start documenting the fact that they're using deep propaganda tools against us. I mean, we saw it in World War II.
The 50s? No, dude, it's gone on longer than that.
Yeah, it's gone on longer for sure, but like especially in World War II, you saw the propaganda stuff ramp up.
They took what? There's no question, there's no doubt. If you think differently, then you're living in.
Look, we had
listen, they took what Goebbels did in Germany. Okay, that doesn't mean that we're not all Nazis. Okay, I understand that, I get that, but they took the strategies of Joseph Goebbels and they applied it to their own agenda. That doesn't mean that they were putting people in concentration camps. It doesn't mean we've all become Nazis. But what they did was they took his strategies and they applied it to what we're doing today. It worked then. It's working now. And if you believe half the stuff that most people believe, then you believe. You bought into it.
It worked. It worked on you.
Correct.
If right now you think that refugees are like the big problem that we're facing right now in this country, then the propaganda worked.
Correct.
It worked. If you think Mexican immigrants that are undocumented are like the big issue right now, the Nazi style propaganda stuff, it worked on you. It really did. It actually worked, you know. And so it really truly is saddening to see a lot of my friends, not in person, because, you know, I live here in San Diego and we're basically in New Mexico, a new version of Mexico here.
You're in New Mexico.
We're in like libertarian Mexico here in San Diego, but like it's a little different around here. But people online who, you know, I've got friends all over the country, and a lot of them have bought into this nationalistic type of, you know, we need to, be wary of Muslims and be wary of immigrants and refugees and stuff. Unfortunately, they bought into that stuff, but you know, most of that stuff, it is based on an emotional kind of thing, it tugs on some sort of heartstring for some people.
Well, it all is.
That works.
It's fear.
It works. Fear. Yeah, it's fear. They get you scared, and it works really well. Like people who think refugees need to be banned, they believe it like really strongly, and they get really angry.
But they have a reason to. They have a reason to. And I'm going to tell you why they have a reason to. Because they think there's been this emotional connection brought to them that says they show them a picture. Whether it's San Bernardino, 9/11 is the big picture.
They show them the Twin Towers.
But they show them a picture, okay? And the picture is these Muslims did this horrible thing. And then they go, do you see this? It's framed right there. You see what those Muslims did? We have to get the Muslims.
Yeah.
And they miss everything outside of that frame. They miss everything outside of that picture. And and their fear takes over, and it becomes an emotional reaction, and it's a reaction, and they don't understand what they're doing.
And here's the thing that really pisses me off, and we talked about this a little bit last night on my radio show. Is like the Washington Post, for instance, goes around and they're like you said, they present us this image after post 9/11 image where it's like Muslim people committed 9/11 and they did all these bad things. And like you said, people don't bother dealing with the details. They just see that picture. They see, okay, Muslims are responsible.
Well, of course, that's how emotions work.
Right? And so the Washington Post delivers that message from 9/11 until 2016, right? And then in 2016, when Donald Trump comes along, capitalizing on all of this anti-Muslim propaganda that has been so effective since 9/11, Donald Trump comes along and says, you know what? When I get into office, I'm going to ban Muslims from certain countries.
But wait.
And then when Donald Trump says it, the Washington Post comes out, I can't believe Donald Trump is saying that he's going to ban Muslims from Iraq and Syria and Yemen. And it's like, wait.
But wait.
The Washington Post is responsible for all of this anti-Islam propaganda from 9/11 until 2016, even though they disguised it as like, oh, this is unbiased reporting. Really what they were doing was, like you said, presenting us with this image of like Muslims are responsible for 9/11, therefore let's dehumanize Muslims and let's let Bush and Obama get away with bombing 10 or 12 different Muslim countries, and no one's going to say a word about it, especially with Obama. I mean, 8, 9, 10 countries that Obama bombed that are Muslim majority, I lost count.
No, here's the thing.
And so the Washington Post, and this is what pisses me off the most, the Washington Post sells us this anti-Muslim propaganda, and then when someone actually comes along and articulates it and says, we want to ban Muslims, we want to ban immigrants, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe
it's
someone's
not
saying
that. No. That's kind of right. What Nick said
blows my mind, dude.
What Nick said's kind of right. But here's the reality. Okay, this is very important. This is a very important piece of American history. There was the GOP debate. I guess it was for the 2016 election. It may have been 2015 when the debate was held. I think it was in the beginning of 2016. And all the candidates were on stage. You know, there was like whatever amount of them, 16, 17 candidates running to become president for the Republican Party. And Chris Christie said something about how, I was there at 9/11. Ooh, 9/11. And he went on the whole 9/11 rant. And they cut to Rand Paul. And Rand Paul rolled his eyes. This is important. He rolled his eyes when 9/11 was mentioned. And guess what? There wasn't an outrage. There wasn't, how dare you? Because I think most Americans are over the you blame everything on 9/11, which is what we did in this country for at least for a while. For a good chunk of the past 15 years, 16 years, whatever, you blame things on 9/11 and you got away with doing whatever crime you wanted.
And then Obama came in, he blamed everything on Bush.
No, there was still 9/11 being used in that. I don't think you could have gotten away with it. He did. You're right, Nick. You're very right. But when Rand Paul rolled his eyes and the country wasn't outraged that you rolled your eyes at 9/11, they realized the boogeyman is dead. We can't use this boogeyman anymore. And just like that, Russia, the Russians are coming to get you. The Russians are taking over. Oh, can you believe what the Russians did? Did you hear about the Russians? Oh, the Russians.
Here's the thing. That's like a redirection, though.
No, it's the new boogeyman.
No,
Read 1984.
It is because
they're Emmanuel Goldstein.
But look, listen to this. The Trump immigration ban and his restriction on refugees, listen.
But Trump,
it's extremely popular. More than half of the country, more than the amount of people the amount of people that voted for Trump are drastically outnumbered by the amount of people who agree with the refugee ban.
Wrestling.
So here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. I think the deep state is worried that the anti-Muslim sentiment is growing too strong in this country, that it could actually galvanize a fascist movement. And maybe that's why they're opposing Trump.
No.
And that's why they're saying Russia is the new problem, because they're trying to draw away from this the xenophobic movement that's grown.
You don't believe that.
I do.
No, you don't.
Dude, how popular is this nationalism movement going on right now? It's huge.
No.
You're underestimating it, dude. There's a huge nationalist movement. It's very xenophobic.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
I'm insulated from it here, dude.
Well, okay, where do I live?
Insulated.
Where do I live? Where do I live?
You live in Jeff Sessions land.
Right. And I'm telling you, there are racist people.
And you got Jeff Sessions in the White House right now.
Listen, there are racist people in the world. There's no, I'm not going to dispute that. There are evil people in the world, but no, there's not a movement that is make-believe.
The people where you come from voted for Donald Trump, dude. The people where you come from voted for Donald Trump.
Because for different reasons.
Really?
Yeah.
The strongest reason of them all is xenophobia. Dude.
No, the reason they voted for Donald Trump is because he had an R next to his name. And it doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah. In Alabama, that's true.
Right. That's it, period. There was an R next to his name, and his name wasn't Hillary Clinton. That's why Alabama voted for him.
All I'm saying is that the most popular thing Trump...
There is no resurgency. There is none. If you believe that, no, Nick.
The most popular thing that Trump has done so far is that immigration ban. That's the most popular thing he's done. Everything else, people are like...
The media! We're anti-media. You're going according to the media.
No, I'm not, dude. I'm going according to what people are saying.
Which person have you talked to that said this? Which person have you ever met that's agreed with that assessment?
Dude, all I needed to go is on my Facebook profile, and see a bunch of people defending the Muslim ban, saying we need to ban them. There's terrorists coming.
Because they're scared. They're fearful.
But they exist. There's a bunch of them. Everybody's scared, bro. All these fools are scared in this country. The United States is more scared than the public of Egypt. Have you seen this polling?
Listen,
look at the polling numbers, dude. Egypt is less afraid. The average person in Egypt is less afraid to go outside and walk around than the average person in the United States.
First off,
fear sells. Fear sells very well in this country, and Donald Trump is a candidate of fear. His entire candidacy is based on fear.
You can stop.
It's all based on fear.
Well, I've literally been preaching that for a year now.
Exactly. So don't deny that his movement doesn't exist.
No.
A bunch of people in this country are scared of their own shadows, bro.
I've told you. Listen, they're scared of Muslims. They're not scared of Mexicans. Nobody cares about Mexicans.
They're scared of Muslims, dude. They're xenophobic as hell.
Well, they are scared of Muslims. I agree with that.
That's exactly what I was saying.
I'm going to throw it to you, Shannon.
Come on, dude. Chime in on this, bro.
Why am I getting involved in this all of a sudden? Look, Nick, I learned a long time ago when he gets on one of those rants, you just let it go, man. Sometimes you just got to let it go.
Have I ever been wrong, Shannon?
Yes, you have been. Yes, you have been wrong before.
Tell me when.
Remember when we were in Seattle and you slapped the Scottish fisherman?
Oh my goodness! I don't know where
you got teabagged that night, and trust me, you deserved it.
None of that happened. That's insane.
Oh yes, it did. There is footage. I seen footage.
All right, let's hope that doesn't make its way to the public.
Let's hope.
This is Russian propaganda. If I've ever heard
the Russians
of
got some shit on you there, SM Gibson.
They do now. I'm selling to the highest bidder.
I don't know, man. All I was saying is that I think the only thing that Trump so far has shown a lot of popularity on, besides this last speech where he talked about getting a guy killed in Yemen in a raid that should maybe have never happened, and everyone's like, oh my God, Trump is finally presidential. Yeah. Besides all that, there's a lot of people in this country that are xenophobic, dude. And I know them personally, dude. People who are actually who you think are pretty free thinking people who live right here in San Diego. I'm not going to name any names and all that kind of stuff, but there are people that I know who I think think very similar to what I would think, that are actually falling for the allure of Donald Trump, and that they're saying, maybe it's not such a bad idea that we ban Muslims. You never know who's coming in and blah, 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 blah.
But that's fear.
Yeah,
we do agree
people
on
buy
that.
it. People bite on that stuff and they believe it. And
No,
like,
no
you know,
kidding.
we're in a place here in California where like we got Republicans, but the Republicans out here are basically libertarians. They're not like
No, they're not.
they're not.
Well, and one thing that both of y'all, I don't think y'all have discussed in this is that you also have. Well, I was just going to say, you also have a lot of people that are really into the whole troll factor. The fact that Donald Trump is essentially just a troll for the United States government. And he's going to go in there and pretty much just, handle things his way, and he's ripping and shredding. And, we laughed about the comedic value of the fact that he had essentially trolled the GOP debates every single time he cracked the mic. Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz will tell you all about that.
I love it. I love it. That's the thing about Trump. I don't want Trump to be president. I never wanted Trump to be president. But man, do I laugh hysterically when he says half the stuff he does. Because somebody's got to say that crap.
He's a meme maker, man. A walking, talking, breathing, living meme maker.
But here's the difference between me and the rest of America. And okay, I'm in the middle of the rest of America and the liberals. Or whoever they are. Because I'm going to laugh. I'm going to giggle. I'm going to be like, yeah, right on. You tell them. And because those people cheer him on, they go, let's make him president. This guy should be in charge. No. This guy shouldn't be in charge. I can still laugh at the theater of what he's doing because it's pretty incredible. And then you get the other side. Like, I'm with the other side on a moral level. And don't want him there. I've heard what he said. I don't want it. But I'm right and stuck in the middle, and I get it. I get why the right wants to vote for him. I get why the left hates him. But the far left hates him for no reason at all. They hate him because they lost, and they're sore losers. And I hate it.
Well, they're not really the far left, though. They're just like the left establishment. The far left is like further left than Bernie Sanders and stuff. And that's, I don't think they're fans of Hillary Clinton.
But we have to remember we're talking to an audience here. And I don't think that our audience is mostly Antifa here. And we're not just talking to exclusively people that.
Hey, how many Antifa do we got out in the audience right now? I know Shannon out there with the anti-fascists smashing shit up at Starbucks and shit, right?
You probably are.
Y'all don't involve me in this. Thank you.
How about when Tucker booted that white supremacist dude out of the conference and he said, this is an anti-fascist conference? I mean, do you consider yourself an anti-fascist?
I consider myself a human being that doesn't want to be around some nonsense.
And fascism is some bullshit, right? So
I don't want that in my life.
So we're basically, we are anti-fascists. We're anti-fascists.
I'm a person that doesn't want some
nonsense.
I don't want nonsense in my life.
But Antifa, man, people get
really
up in arms about that tactic, right?
Listen, you don't need a label to define you. You can be you, and still be frustrated with the system. And I think this is most of America. You don't want a label. You don't need a label. Everybody seems on TV, they want to put a label on themselves. Oh, everybody has to be collectivized. Everybody has to. No, you don't. No. I'm frustrated without a label. And I know you are too. You're frustrated without a label. And you don't have to subscribe or sign next to the next politician coming up because that's the only choice you have. You can be frustrated without signing off on some ridiculous thing you don't agree with. And even if they oppose the thing you oppose, you don't have to sign up to it. That's what's wrong with America. We have to have this division of sign up or get in my group or be in my. That's stupid. That's stupid. We're all human beings trying to survive, make our way through the day, pay our bills. The end. And yet you got to be this, you're going to be that, or I'm an aggregist, or I'm this, or I'm that. No, you don't.
The big group you don't. Is the real big group is people that don't consent. Right?
It's just live your life.
People that don't vote in the last election, they make up the true majority. The true silent majority are the people that
unquestionably.
And those are the people.
But Americans want to stop. And this isn't about America. This is a whole world. They want to stop being put in these labels. And this is why I think people get so frustrated with everything's racist. People are so tired, sick and tired of labels on every side, white and black and green and gray, Republican and Democrat. 50% of this country didn't vote in the last election. They're sick of it. They're tired of it. They don't want this. And
I think that's more to the point. Is the fact that the people that did not vote. I certainly was one of them. Don't consent to this anymore. They're tired. They're literally. That's the only statement that they can make is, nope, I give up, man. If you want to go off and kill a bunch of people for absolutely no reason, burn through all of our taxpayer money and then some, $20 trillion in debt. Go right ahead. I want no part of it. I'm just going to live my life, and I'm going to be cool with my neighbor as long as they're going to be cool with me. Don't violate my nap. I'm not going to violate your nap. The end.
Tax day is coming up, right? Tax day is coming up. What better way to stand up against this shit than to say, you know what? I'm refusing. I ain't paying them. I'm not paying my taxes.
What better way to stand up?
We need to get Larkin Rose back on the program. You know, he's actually served federal time for that.
If we're going to say that we're not going to consent and we're going to say we're not going to vote, we should also say that we're not going to pay taxes, because
I agree, because taxation is theft.
This is how they get our money, and then they do a bunch of dumb shit with it. This is what we all agree. Look, everybody's got different political opinions, right? But the one thing that we can kind of agree on is that we don't want other people telling us how to spend our money, right? And whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you're a Republican, you may not want the government funding abortion.
I want bombs. Right? I want schools.
Yeah.
I want abortion. I want this.
Yeah, so, we can all agree we don't really want the government spending money that we stuff we don't want it to be spent on.
There's a lot of dumb morons in this world that think that the government knows better than us.
Here's an idea. We stop paying federal taxes, and instead we still pay money, but we pay it towards the things we want to be funded. So we say, look, I want to fund welfare for kids and homeless housing, and that's where you send your tax money. And if some asshole wants to, I want to fund bombing people in Yemen, if you think people are actually going to want to fund that, well, then that person could go and fund that. Fine. But dude, we need to start resisting with our taxes. Look, half the people in this country aren't voting. What if half the people in this country stop paying taxes? That would be something that would really drag the shit to a halt. And these assholes in charge, these assholes that are making all the money, these assholes that have been taking advantage of all the working people for all these years, when half the people in this country stop paying taxes, that train comes to a stop, dude. And then there's some real reckoning that has to take place.
What about my roads? Apparently you just want to walk around on dirt everywhere.
No, Shannon,
don't you do some kind of construction types? Dude, you could build the roads, bro. Come on. I know I could build roads.
Absolutely. And communities have been, New York City built roads without federal help back in the 1900s. Come on, man.
Dude, go to a private community, like a gated community, and see how much nicer their roads actually are than the public roads. I shit you not, dude.
I definitely, by the way, I definitely could not build the roads. I'm pretty helpless when it comes to these kind of things. I'm not even going to pretend that I could be that guy.
You can plan on building the roads. You can be the guy come up with the plans.
I've driven through Jackson, Mississippi, and their roads are funded by the government, and it's a giant pothole.
Oh man, Mississippi roads are the worst.
It is pretty rough. But thanks, government, for fixing it for us. I tell you what, we've got a minute left. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to you, Shannon. Quick thoughts on everything we've discussed. We didn't get to any news tonight.
Nick had the absolute best idea. That's what we need to be focusing on. Everybody's divided about who to vote for. Let's stop paying our taxes. Let's all come together on that.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right,
cut the taxes out.
That's whatever.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.